And we shift our focus now to the key business economic issues of the day with Dr. Kim Byung-ju, head of KLMP Consulting and our regular commentator on this program. Hello, Dr. Kim.
Good afternoon.
Now, today let's talk about Korea's big retail businesses and the nation's job market. We have been getting reports that these mega discount stores or retailers have been cutting down on new hires.
Right.
What's happening there?
Yeah, I mean, ever since the government introduced policies to discourage, it's not necessarily government itself, but legislatures, lawmakers have introduced a lot of different policies to discourage this big-scale discount stores from operating 24 hours, for instance, 7 days a week and all that, in order to help, they said, the traditional market. We knew this would be coming, and finally we have the numbers coming in. In Korea, we have large-scale discount stores under the name Home Mart, Lotte Mart, and E-Mart. In all of them, what we see is, in terms of hiring, even though service industry is a segment of the economy where we have our hopes for greater job creation in the future, they're not hiring as many as before. For instance, the case of Home Plus case, back in 2010, during 1 year, they hired close to 800 people, but now the number has come down to like 1/4 of it as of this year. They're hiring only about 200 people from the 800 about like 3 years ago. And Lotte Mart case, they used to hire back in 2010 2,300 people, and now this year they are hiring only 50 people. So that's a huge drop in terms of new hiring in that in that business. E-Mart is the one that has increased on the surface the new hiring numbers from about 1,000 last year to about 1,300 this year. But the thing is, this 1,300 are not, technically speaking, really new hires because they're just converting the part-time and contract-based workers to a full-time official employees. So basically, the actual real new hiring that they're making at E-Mart, they say, is almost close to zero. So in fact, considering that these kind of large-scale discount stores are kind of like job creation machines in a way, their operation, they have to hire a lot of people in total numbers, but not increasing the number of new hires kind of tells us that this important part of this service sector is not really producing the jobs the way the government and the society have been wanting all along.
And this is not limited to these large discount stores. In fact, we've been getting that the big name department stores are doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because the government and the society really wants this part of this service industry to increase new jobs as much as they can, we have high hopes. But the regular, big name department stores, business, they are not producing as much jobs. For instance, Lotte department store, they are not increasing their number of new hires over the past several years. They are hiring about 200, 300 new hires every year, but the number hasn't changed or increased over the past several years so far. And Hyundai department store usually selects about 130 or 150, but no significant increase for the past 3-4 years. So that's not where you want to count on. And Shinsegae's department store's case, actually, their number has decreased from 2009, hiring about 700 down to about 130 last year. So indeed, as I said again, there's a high hope for the service industry to create a lot more new jobs down the road as Korea's manufacturing faces a lot of challenges such as relocating all production facilities overseas and all that kind of stuff. That's not what's happening.
Now, going back to the large retailers, about this policy, new restrictions on the number of new stores that they can open, would you say this policy is affecting the job creation situation?
Absolutely, absolutely. New stores being opened, for instance, in the case of E-Mart, 2 years ago, 2012, actually last year, I suppose, they opened 11 new stores, but this year they're opening just 2 stores. And the case of Home Plus, they've been opening 7 back in 2010, but this year the number has gone down quite considerably, down to 5, 4, something like that. Lotte Mart case, 21 new locations opened back in 2010, but now this year they're opening only 4. So indeed, number of new stores, that determines a lot about the new jobs. So that's exactly what's happening. The policy is discouraging this business from opening new businesses, so they have to hire less.
What about this other policy about promoting part-time jobs? It's aimed at creating more jobs for Koreans, isn't it?
Right, indeed. Even though that is the overall design for this, however, as I mentioned in the case of the E-Mart, they're just converting this kind of jobs into the regular hirings, and then these part-time jobs are not really exactly. I mean, these hourly works are being created in the place of the regular full-time works. So that's what's happening.
Right, and keeping all these policy actions in mind, what do we need to do in order to minimize this balloon effect or the boomerang effect, if you will?
I think those are great names, and from the beginning we all knew all along that if you're trying to discourage business that are doing well from doing well, all you get is, all you end up with is just a loss, and that's exactly what's happening here. So the policy of encouraging this service industry to grow is not discouraging these big department stores or big discount large-scale stores from doing their business. Rather, just focus on helping the traditional market only. That has been the way a lot of economists have been arguing for all along, including myself, and now we're seeing this result. So maybe it may not be too late at this point. We have to come up with a new realization, and maybe it's time to revise or shift our policy here.
All right, Dr. Kim Byung-ju, thank you so much for today and all of this week, and we'll see you on Monday.
Okay, we'll do.